The motorcycle intercom industry is splitting into two brutal extremes. On one side, you have companies building military-grade mesh communication systems that survive 90 miles per hour crosswinds and massive group rides without blinking. On the other, brands flooding Amazon with cheap Bluetooth gadgets that disconnect faster than a dead Tinder conversation. And the scary part is most riders do not realize which side they bought into until they are halfway through a freeway run screaming, "Can you hear me now?" into a helmet full of wind noise. Here's the thing, a few years ago, almost every intercom brand looked competitive. Cena dominated, Cardo was the underdog. Budget brands like Freedcon and EJES exploded because riders only cared about music streaming and low prices. But mesh networking, AI noise filtering, and ecosystem lock-in have turned this into a full-scale technological arms race. And here is what the dealerships will not tell you. Buying a cheap intercom almost always means buying twice. Because once your connection starts cutting out at highway speed, your great deal becomes a rolling frustration tax you pay every single ride. Number 9. EJES V6 Pro/Q8. EJES once wore the crown of the budget hero. During the Amazon motorcycle accessory explosion, it was everywhere. Affordable, flashy, and seemingly functional enough to fuel first-time buyers. Today, that crown has rusted completely off. Here's the thing about EJES. The discounts never stop. 35 to 50% off permanently on nearly every platform. That is not a sale. That is a brand hemorrhaging perceived value in real time. Heavy influencer sponsorship replaced dealer credibility years ago, and the resale market tells the real story. Marketplaces are flooded with used units that nobody wants to buy twice. And get this, the hardware is still running outdated Bluetooth daisy chain architecture. Translation: instead of every rider connecting simultaneously like a true mesh system, EJES chains your group together like dominoes. One person drops signal, the whole structure collapses. Wind noise suppression above 75 miles per hour is practically non-existent, and the software ecosystem feels like it was built in someone's garage in 2016. Bottom line, EJES is the fast fashion version of motorcycle communication, cheap, flashy, and falling apart before the season ends. But if you think EJES is outdated, wait until you see the brand that still feels genuinely trapped in that same era. Number 8. Lexan B4 FM/G16. Lexan started with real credibility as an affordable Sena alternative. Then real-world performance started telling a brutally different story. The business model has devolved into permanent discount cycles, not temporary promotions, but relentless markdowns, signaling a brand unable to justify its own pricing. Retailers are overstocked year-round, and rider loyalty is practically non-existent. Here is where it gets truly desperate. Lexan focuses on feature count marketing instead of connection stability. Translation: they dazzle you with impressive sounding spec sheets while multi-rider communication reliability drops sharply the moment you hit freeway speed. Firmware support lags badly behind competitors, meaning the software problems you buy today are the problems you live with indefinitely. The real kicker is the consumer complaints that keep surfacing. Robotic voice breakup during freeway riding, slow reconnect times after losing signal, and waterproofing failures in long-term ownership. Bottom line, Lexan feels like a smartphone accessory pretending to be premium motorcycle equipment. But if you think Lexan is struggling, the next brand practically turned communication failure into an entire business model. Number 7. Wastrade Freedcon T-Max/KY Pro. Freedcon once dominated the ultra-budget segment for a legitimate reason. Premium systems were expensive, and a functional cheap alternative made sense. That era is over, and Freedcon never got the memo. Here's the thing about brands that refuse to evolve. The market exposes them mercilessly. Freedcon units are now frequently bundled free with budget helmets just to move inventory. Resale values collapse below 30% of original retail. The inventory saturation online is staggering, and none of that signals a healthy brand. Aging Bluetooth-only architecture and inconsistent hardware quality between production runs mean you are genuinely gambling every time you buy one. The real kicker is the group ride experience. Pairing frustration turns a 5-minute setup into a 15-minute parking lot argument. Wind noise overwhelms microphone clarity so completely that riders typically upgrade to Cardo within a single season. Bottom line, Freedcon is like trying to coordinate a group ride using soup cans and fishing line. Now we move into brands that actually understand modern motorcycle communication. Number 6. Sena Spyder R T1. Cena spent years dominating this industry with traditional Bluetooth systems. Then Cardo's mesh revolution hit like a freight train and forced Cena into a reinvention it probably did not want to admit it needed. The Spider RT1 is what that reinvention looks like at the entry level. And get this, it actually works. The mesh-focused architecture dramatically improved connection stability over anything Cena was selling before. Reconnection behavior after stops is meaningfully better. Competitive pricing helped rebuild Cena's value perception among touring riders who had started quietly defecting to Cardo. Freeway speed performance is surprisingly stable for the price, and large group communication holds together in ways that nothing in the budget segment below it can match. Bottom line, the Spider RT1 is Cena admitting the old empire needed new weapons to survive. It is not the most exciting product on this list, but it is honest engineering from a company finally willing to fight on the right battlefield. But Cena's comeback story looks modest compared to the next Intercom that quietly became the working class hero of the entire market. Number 5. Cardo Spirit 8. D entry level used to mean unacceptable compromises, terrible audio, unreliable connections, interfaces designed by engineers who apparently never rode a motorcycle at speed. Cardo changed that equation with the Spirit HD, and the market noticed immediately. Here is the thing, the Spirit HD became one of the strongest selling entry-level communicators precisely because Cardo refused to strip out the firmware quality that defines the rest of their lineup. Strong speaker clarity relative to the price. A simplified interface that eliminates setup frustration for first-time riders. And get this, Cardo is barely discounting it. In a segment defined by perpetual markdowns and inventory gluts, the Spirit HD holds its pricing because demand is genuinely there. Translation, Cardo is not just selling you a product. They are recruiting you into a communication ecosystem you will not want to leave. Bottom line, the Spirit HD is entry-level engineering done by riders instead of accountants. But if you think Cardo's budget game is impressive, wait until you see the Intercom that became the silent assassin of the ADV touring world. Before the top 4, I want to hear from you directly. What Intercom brand are riders in your area running right now? Are people still loyal to Cena, or has Cardo completely taken over your local riding scene? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and your real-world data shapes future episodes. Number 4. Uclear Motion Infinity. Uclear never chased mainstream dominance. While Cena and Cardo fought over dealership shelf space, Uclear was doing something quieter and considerably more interesting, building a cult following among ADV and touring riders who had specific problems nobody else was solving. Here's the thing about niche engineering done right. Word of mouth becomes more powerful than any marketing budget. Smaller market share, but unusually high rider loyalty. Premium positioning with stable pricing that does not collapse into permanent discounting. The engineering focus is genuinely unique. Uclear built a microphone architecture that eliminates the bulky boom mic entirely, a significant advantage for riders wearing modular or off-road helmets, where boom mic clearance becomes a real physical problem. And get this, turbulence filtering in noisy helmets is exceptional, delivering audio clarity that competing systems struggle to match in aggressive riding conditions. Bottom line, Uclear is the sniper rifle of motorcycle communication. Quiet, precise, and terrifyingly effective for the rider who knows exactly what they need. But the next brand did not just improve communication, it rebuilt an entire empire from the ground up. Number 3. Cena 50S/60S. Cena used to rule this industry without breaking a sweat. Then firmware problems compounded. Cardo's mesh networking made traditional Bluetooth architecture look prehistoric, and suddenly the unbeatable empire had a very visible vulnerability. The 50S and 60S represent Cena's answer to an existential threat. And the answer is actually good. Mesh 3.0 dramatically improved reliability in ways older Cena products simply could not deliver. Better audio quality, faster recovery speeds when connection drops occur. Cena finally modernized after years of stagnation that had its loyal rider base quietly questioning whether to jump ship entirely. And get this, the dealership presence and OEM helmet partnerships Cena built during its dominant years now function as a genuine competitive moat, keeping compatibility concerns almost non-existent for riders joining established Cena groups. Bottom line, Cena is the old heavyweight champion that learned how to fight modern wars again. Not back to unchallenged dominance, but dangerous in a way it had not been for years. If this breakdown is saving you from a rolling Bluetooth nightmare, hit like and subscribe right now. MotoMine exists to cut through exactly the marketing fluff dealerships hope you never question. But even Cena's comeback looks conservative compared to the brand that turned reliability into an absolute obsession. Number 2, Cardo Freecom. 4, X. Mid-range intercoms used to feel like a compromise between the premium experience you wanted and the budget reality you could afford. The Freecom 4X destroyed that idea so completely it became the default recommendation across the motorcycle media world almost overnight. Here's the thing about products that find the sweet spot. They do not need aggressive selling. The Freecom 4X carries extremely strong sales momentum with minimal deep discounting, a rare combination in a market where most brands compete purely on price cuts. Superior audio tuning, stable live intercom architecture that holds connection consistency at freeway speed without the degradation that plagues systems running outdated platform architecture. The real-world experience matches the spec sheet, which should be the baseline expectation but is apparently still rare enough to be remarkable. The real kicker is long-distance touring performance. Consistent freeway voice clarity across hundreds of miles. Lower frustration levels because the firmware is mature and the hardware is genuinely built to last. Bottom line, the Freecom 4X is the Toyota Tacoma of motorcycle intercoms. Brutally dependable, impossible to kill, and holding its value while everything around it depreciates. But even the Freecom is not the apex predator of this market. Number 1, Cardo PackTalk Edge. Cardo used to be the underdog. Cena had the empire, the dealership network, and the installed base of loyal riders who saw no reason to switch. Then Cardo embraced mesh networking earlier and harder than every competitor in the segment, and the industry has never fully recovered from the disruption. Here's the thing about companies that commit to the right technology before the market demands it. They end up writing the rules everyone else has to follow. The PackTalk Edge now holds roughly 37% of the premium intercom market with year-over-year growth while maintaining premium pricing. Rider loyalty so strong that competing brands list PackTalk compatibility as a selling point for their own products. That is not dominance. That is a category-defining stranglehold. And get this, dynamic mesh communication. 2.0 is still the industry's North Star. Translation, every rider in your group connects to every other rider simultaneously on a self-healing network. If one connection drops, the system rebuilds automatically without any intervention from you. JBL speaker integration set an audio benchmark that rivals have spent years trying to match without fully closing the gap. Firmware refinement has been relentless, turning an already strong product into something that measurably improves with every software update. The real kicker is the 90 miles per hour performance that gives this entire video its title. Stable communication during massive touring rides. Reliable connectivity at freeway speeds where budget systems produce nothing but wind noise static. Bottom line, the PackTalk Edge is the apex predator of motorcycle communication. Not because it is flashy, but because it simply refuses to fail when every other system is reaching its limit. And that is exactly why the rest of the industry is scrambling to catch up. The motorcycle communication market has become a battlefield between genuine innovation and comfortable stagnation, between companies building real rider ecosystems with serious engineering investment and companies still selling glorified Bluetooth toys wrapped in aggressive Amazon discounts and influencer campaigns. And the terrifying part is most riders do not notice the difference until they are already locked inside the wrong ecosystem. Here's the thing, intercoms are not gadgets anymore. They are infrastructure. They determine whether your group ride stays coordinated across a full day of touring, whether navigation remains usable at freeway speed, and whether communication becomes effortless or becomes the most infuriating part of every ride. The winners share the same pattern: relentless software development, stable mesh architecture, premium audio engineering, and long-term ecosystem investment that makes riders reluctant to ever leave. Here is what the dealerships will not tell you. The hidden cost of a bad intercom is never the purchase price. It is replacing the thing 6 months later. It is the rides you spent frustrated. Stop shopping for the cheapest feature list and start shopping for the ecosystem that riders refuse to leave. If this breakdown saved you from a costly mistake, hit subscribe. Because MotoMine is just getting started pulling back the curtain on an industry that counts on you never acing the right questions.